Okay, Torah concept in the New Testament, rebuke unrepentant sinning. Okay, so this is actually one of the clearest cases where Paul is directly echoing Torah judicial ethics when he says to rebuke unrepentant sinning in 1 Timothy 5:20. Paul's instruction is not about shaming, but about public accountability for persistence, unrepentant wrongdoing, especially among leaders. This concept is deeply rooted in the Torah. So the Torah parallels to this concept. One, public exposure of persistent sin. Deuteronomy chapter 13, chapter 17, chapter 19. It says, all of Israel shall hear and fear. These passages describe what happens when a person persists in sin despite warnings. The matter becomes public and the community witnesses the judgment so that others may fear. It's two, rebuking sin directly and openly. Leviticus 19 verse 17, you shall surely rebuke your neighbor. And this is a foundational Torah command to rebuke. Three, judicial process for stubborn, unrepentant sin. Deuteronomy 17 verses 8 to 12. Stubborn man who refuses correction. And in four, public accountability for leaders in Deuteronomy chapter 1. Leaders judged without partiality. And five, witness and public confirmation. Deuteronomy 19 verse 15, by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. You remember that? And Paul quotes this exact verse in the same chapter in 1 Timothy 5:19. So the context here is rebuke persistent sin in Leviticus 19. Rebuke is commanded to stop sin. Public rebuke is so others may fear in Deuteronomy 13, chapter 17, chapter 19. Public accountability deters sin. Accountability for leaders in Deuteronomy chapter 1. There's no partiality in judgment, and witnesses are required in Deuteronomy 19. This felicitates judicial integrity, stubborn refusal to repent, like in Deuteronomy 17, is a willful disobedience, and there's public judgment. So the conclusion is that Paul's instruction in 1 Timothy 5:20 is not a Christian idea. It is a direct continuation of the Torah judicial ethics. Private rebuke first, Leviticus 19, if unrepentant, public accountability in Deuteronomy 13, chapter 17, chapter 19, especially for leaders in Deuteronomy chapter 1, and witnesses in Deuteronomy chapter 19. Paul is simply applying the Torah's community protection principles to the ekklēsia, to the church. And so this is how Paul taught Torah. The Torah has not passed away.